Welcome back to MTR Network. This is Chris and Phenom here, and we are here to do a quick. Phenom is. I'll chime in because I did see this series, but he's here to do a quick review of the Into the Badlands Season 1 BluRay. This came on A&E last year. Mighty warrior and a young boy search for enlightenment in a ruthless territory controlled by feudal barons.
I thought Into the Badlands was AMC.
I'm sorry, AMC. I said A&E. AMC.
Yeah.
Right. It's AMC. My bad.
Wait, where did I watch?
I'm fucking up. Yeah. AMC. Like I said, it's been a while. Like I was hoping it would come back this year for season 2, but season 2 doesn't start until 2017 actually. So, and this first came out what was it, December or November of 2015?
Looks like November 8th.
Yeah.
No, the DVD came out November 8th.
Of this year?
Of 2016, but
2016.
the show, I don't know when the show actually started.
Yeah,
maybe like November 2015?
Yeah, I think it was November 2015. Pretty sure it was. I'm looking it up now. Let me see. Oh shit, no. I'm trying to see. Anyway, go ahead while I try to figure this out.
So Anchor Bay reached out to a bunch of critics and were like, "Hey, we got this Into the Badlands Blu-ray with these extras on it. We were wondering if y'all would like to check it out." And I'm like, please send me that because I enjoyed Into the Badlands. I know some people had issues with it. My dad was one of the people who, and he likes Kung Fu stuff. He likes Kung Fu, fighting stuff. For some reason, Into the Badlands didn't really reach him. And I'm curious as to why this show isn't reaching people because out of all of the shows with like Kung Fu and fighting and, martial arts involved, you have, Arrow, you have Into the Badlands, then you have different films. There are a lot of shows that take martial arts into consideration when producing. What I don't get is why Into the Badlands is like helmed as one of the best fucking fighting shows on television. Because the martial arts is like choreographed by Daniel Wu and another a guy who basically worked on all of the Japanese or the Korean fighting films that you typically see. So and they brought him to the States to do this show. He put the actors through a fighting training camp and actually trained them how to fight. Then he brought his own camera crew that works on all of these great action films from other countries to shoot this film. When you watch the fighting scenes, they are masterfully done and look that way. And I don't understand why it didn't connect.
Did it not connect?
It's for some people it didn't. Like some people were like, I thought the show was too slow. And I was like, at what point when they were fighting did you think this show was slow? Because this show opens up. The first episode is ruthless. It is ruthless the way he kills people. Daniel Wu kills people in the first episode, and his character's name is Sonny, the kid who blacks out and goes ape shit on people. Aramis Knight, his character is dope. And even the side characters are trained enough to make the fighting look good on screen when you see what they put these characters through. And that's the beauty of this Blu-ray. So the reason I wanted the Blu-ray was not just to watch the show again, to refresh myself, because I pretty much remember what happened with the show. It's not a deep story. Sonny wants to leave because he's in love. Sonny is a clipper, and he's the best clipper. He's killed over some like 200 or 400 people or some shit like that. And he has done what is forbidden. He has fallen in love as a clipper, and you're not supposed to do that. And he's about to have a child. He finds this kid who is crazy, who has this crazy talent of blacking the fuck out and killing people. And it's like, okay, what is this great monkish power? And the guy who he works for is like a fucking slave owner and owns a plantation of clippers and trains young boys. And the person that's fighting against him is a woman who basically just takes in girls and young women and trains them to fight, and she's a fucking badass. And the show is just about all these different like cliques within this dystopian world and how they fight or do battle. But it's more focused on Sonny trying to get the fuck out of there while also trying to help this kid. It's not a deep story. It was only like 7 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The episodes were an hour, of course. And by the end of it all, I was just like, man, I can't wait to see because when you see what happens to Sonny at the end and what happens with the kid, and when the super fucking monks show up, you're just like, okay, this world is much bigger than we thought. And this first season took place in one area.
Yeah, it was only 6 episodes too.
Right, and by the end of it, they're basically telling you that we're about to open you up to this whole world now, because everybody goes off into a different direction. We don't know what's going to happen to any of these characters. I was worried this show might not come back because it had good ratings, but it didn't seem, I don't think, to have like a whole. I don't think as many people were watching as they wanted to or as they expected. And I'm not sure how much money and time they invested in this. And to get back to that's the reason you should cop the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray has all the training camp stuff, like, and they're short. They're like 5 to 10 minute videos where they basically explain what the focus was for each episode, what they were working on, how much time they spent trying to put things together, and actually showing you these actors going through these brutal training camps, trying to get these moves down perfectly before they actually shoot it on screen. They're showing you how they do the wire work, and it's pretty fucking amazing. Then they also go behind the scenes and they explain the dystopian universe. So they explain the different sects and they explain the main characters and their motivations. That made me want to go back and watch the show again, because now that you have all this background information, which we didn't have before, now you can go back and you can watch the shows and you see things a bit differently. You'll see Sonny's character a bit differently, because at first he's kind of, emotionless. He's kind of like, I know I'm a trained badass, but I also have a girl. And then when you go back and watch it and you have the history behind his character, and you're kind of like, oh my God, he's like a lost puppy that was trained to kill. And now he's coming into his own. He doesn't know if he's doing the wrong or the right thing.
Yeah.
And now he's figuring that out. So a lot of that stuff I didn't initially pick up until I watched the DVD extras. The only thing that I wish this DVD had was episode commentary from Daniel Wu, or even from some of the other characters, not just Wu, but maybe Emily Beecham.
Yeah,
or
she plays the widow. I would love to hear some commentary from her on that.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Widow's badass, and I thought that woman was a trained fighter. She's not. She had to go through the training camp just like everybody else.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So, because you're saying the training camp and stuff like that, so were a lot of them? Because again, I watched this show too, and this is why when people say that they couldn't get into it, and I'm like, the fight scenes are amazing. Like there was hands down the best fighting you would see on TV was on that show. Like I don't know if you can name another fucking show that had better fighting scenes than that. All right.
No.
And what always got me was I wasn't sure was it the actors doing it, or did they have what was the ratio of actors versus stunt doubles? Because there were some.
They didn't really show. They didn't in the DVD extras. They didn't actually show a lot of stunt doubles. For instance, was it Widow? There's a scene in one of the episodes, and I remember it's 3, where she has to fight Sonny. And they have to go from weapon to weapon to weapon. And they're kind of showing you what Sonny prefers as a weapon over what her character prefers as a weapon. And she's not trained in these weapons. Okay, so they had to get the choreography down for her to jump from weapon to weapon to weapon and look like she knew how to use them at these training camps. So now she actually does know how to handle some of these weapons. And on top of that, if you remember, there's a part in that fight where she jumps onto the wall and she like flips around the wall while fighting with the weapons. Well, they had to do the choreography for that on a level ground, and then she had to remember how to do it, but like upside down and at an angle, which changed things for her, because she was talking about how that really threw her off. She was like, I got this choreography down perfectly, and then you stick me on a wall with a harness and a rope, and everything is in reverse. So now I'm all confused again. And it took them a while to shoot a lot of these scenes. But they didn't shoot, that was a huge thing I liked about this. They didn't shoot like certain moves, which is something that Daniel Wu was saying that you see with a lot of action films today. They'll shoot the actors doing one move, and then they'll shoot them doing another move. So it's kind of like stop motion kung fu. Well, with these, they had multiple cameras at specific angles, and they would shoot the whole kata. Let's say they shoot the whole kata. They'll shoot the whole scene with the actors going through the choreography completely. Then they go back and they edit it. So that's why everything looks so fluid when they're fighting. It doesn't look like bullshit. It doesn't look like they don't need to put the camera close.
Well, that's why I was like,
You know?
it felt like that they did their own stunts because, like, I've seen it when, you know, we've seen it before. We've complained about this before when you see the quick cuts and things like this. But there are a lot of those scenes just like you can see the person's face, like that's the actor or actress, like that's not a stunt double there, you know?
Yeah.
And so
they showed him on the harnesses getting flipped up into the air and having to land back on the ground. You know, so
sense.
I don't think they had a lot of stunt doubles, and I think the DVD really took a lot of time to go through all of that extra stuff and show you the actors doing this and show you them lying dead on the floor after a whole day of training camp. For 7 episodes. God, can you imagine this was like a 20-something episode show? This would be ridiculous.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else you can think about with the Blu-ray?
No, honestly, just the extras. That's what I got it for. If it had commentary, it would be perfect. If it had episode commentary, it would be fucking amazing. I don't know why they didn't do that, and I hope they do that next time. Because they actually have the actress that played the widow talk about that fight scene. Or to talk about if she's good or bad. You really don't know what her character motivation is.
Well, I think that's a great thing about, like, other than, what's his name? The Baron. Other than him, is there anybody else you can really think of that is, like, outwardly bad? I
mean, like, she kind of is. Because she slaughters men that they find. When she goes in to save a village, she acts like she's going to save those men, but really they're going to slaughter them.
Right.
Because she doesn't accept men into her clique.
Well, because the men are terrible, though. Like, so it's like even her badness, her evilness, you're like, well, to be fair, they're doing that because the men in this world are fucking horrendous. Like, if I remember correctly, they're using in some places they're using women just to breeding and things like that. So it's like she's basically set up a safe place for basically women to come. You know,
right? And learn to defend themselves.
Yeah. Was it Martin Skoka? I can't say his last name. He's the one that plays the Baron. He's the one that I know that is evil.
Bruh, having him do commentary for a few episodes would have been so dope.
Yeah, because he's fucking like that's the only.
And his wife is she plays a chess game on the show.
Oh yeah, true.
For like the first 4 episodes. So it's a lot of things they could have put on it. I think they put a lot of things into it. But the only thing I have to give it a mark off for is not doing episode commentary. That's such a waste. For a show like this, where there's so much behind the scenes work going into it, people can learn a lot from this show, and I hope more shows decide to do this with fighting and choreography and stuff because it just looks better. You can't say it's more expensive.
Right.
Yeah, Into the Badlands Season 1 Blu-ray, I think it's like $21 on Amazon. Yeah, it's worth it. Just to watch the 7 episodes again. It's fucking worth it. Just to have a Kung Fu Collection show, it's worth it.
Anything else you want to say about it?
Nope. That's about it.
All right, folks. There you guys have it. Get the Into the Badlands Blu-ray, and I know the season 2 comes out sometime. They have it. I want to say it was January 2016. But let me look in because I'm not gonna lie. I was very disappointed it didn't come out this year. Because let me see, Into the Badlands Season 2. Let's see when it comes up. It just says slated for a 2017 release. It doesn't have a
I don't actually see
an actual
date on any of these episodes, and I'm looking at season 2 now on IMDb. It doesn't look like there are any dates for the episode.
No, they just have 2017. So hopefully we'll know more about it soon. But definitely, if you're feeding for it, go ahead and get that Blu-ray and check it out. So, again, guys, thank you guys very much for listening. Until next time, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.